This story just overwhelmingly sucks. Okay, every once in a while, I like to discuss a wrestling topic here and there. Back in the day, I was a big fan. Now I just kind of pay attention to certain things off in the distance. But here was one guy who was so fucking cool because I was a big WCW fan, even though didn't really have easy access, couldn't watch Nitro from on a week-to-week basis, could catch the odd episode of Thunder, and everybody on there, it was just different. It was more edgy than the Fed. The wrestling was better, okay, especially the undercard stuff, all the way up till about 2000, and then after that, the scripts just kind of flipped and WCW fell apart, but we can go into that, and it's been cataloged extensively on YouTube by somebody with a posh British accent and really weird emphasis on certain words, and then they'll tell you whatever fucking Jim Cornette told them to say the fucking previous couple of nights. Stupid cunt. But like I said to begin with, yep, a big WCW fan, only got to watch the odd episode of Thunder, but of course, somebody who I always thought was fucking awesome, somebody who could captivate any crowd that he was in front of, somebody who always ranks high on the list of wrestlers who could have but never did end up winning a world championship, Scott Hall. Okay, he was Razor Ramon for a minute, and that, honestly, if we're being fucking honest with one another, was never going to be a world title gimmick. But when he became himself, okay, when he knocked off the fake Cuban Tony Montana accent, he was just one of the coolest fucking dudes ever. And yeah, really sad situation going on right now, because a couple of weeks ago he fell and he broke his hip, which kind of sucks, but you can definitely live through that. And he ended up getting hospitalized and had to go do some surgery, and then unfortunately some complications arose, and he ended up suffering 3 back-to-back massive heart attacks, and recently as Saturday had to get put on life support, and now they're just waiting for the family to amass, and then they're gonna take him off life support. Ugh, fucking sucks, dude. Like, big time sucks, because he's like one of those pillars of the greatest, most popular time in pro wrestling history, okay, right? Like the Monday Night Wars, right? Because on the WCW side, you had all of the 3 founding members, the NWO, and then on the other side of the aisle with the Fed, you had Rock and Austin, and it's like, this is going to be the first one to go, if not later today, if not by the time this goes up, probably tomorrow, definitely by the end of the week. So I wanted to get this out of the way because, geez, here's a guy who had a ridiculous journey from being hooked on pills and alcohol and then making this massive recovery. He went through the rehab after rehab, and then he finally, and we're going to talk about it in the second half of the video after we get all of the groundwork done on this one, made a miraculous recovery outside of the just punch a ticket rehab system. He just turned around his entire life, and a few years later, it's all fucking done. Life's cruel, and this sucks. WCW legend. Let's be pro wrestling legend. Let's just go ahead and cover all the bases on this one. Scott Hall went into the hospital for a normal hip replacement. Well, he fell and broke his hip. I don't know how much is normal about that, but yeah, no, that's what it was. But the procedure led to a blood clots that resulted in 3 heart attacks, and now the family is poised to take the star off of life support. Yep. So apparently the surgery, okay, or maybe it was the hip break itself. The details and all this stuff are justifiably a little bit fuzzy, but all the big story beats, that's what's out there right now. Broke his hip, went in for surgery. Complications arose because blood clots were released, started to form after the surgery or because of the surgery. 63-year-old star who retired in 2010 is currently unresponsive and on life support in Wellstar Keystone Hospital in Marietta, Georgia, The Sun reported. Hull had fallen and broken his hip on March 2nd, and his doctors determined that he needed a joint replacement again after having the surgery back in 2013, back when he was significantly worse off. But the surgery led to blood clots breaking free and hitting his heart, causing 3 heart attacks and left him on life support. And reports now say his family is considering turning off machines. Debuting for the Fed in 1992 is Razor Ramon, stayed there for 4 years, yeah. Won the Intercontinental belt a couple of times, had that legendary ladder match at WrestleMania 10. All quickly rose to become one of wrestling's greatest heels, even as he set the character aside side, yes, Hall busted back to the forefront with his tag team partner, Kevin Nash, who both wrestled under the name. No, they were the outsiders from the New World Order. I'm so glad I chose this article because like some boomers are going to be reading this and they'll be like kind of quasi remembering this stuff, but no, they formed the New World Order with Hulk Hogan, and oh my god, he was the first one of the three to show. Well, no, okay, he was the first one, and he was cutting promos for the first couple of weeks until Kevin Nash came over, and then he had his famous promo. Look at the adjective, and it's not an adjective, Kevin, you fucking dunce. Oh, if you want to have one of your assumptions destroyed of somebody who you might think was a pretty cool dude, just take a look at the Twitter feed of Kevin Nash if you want to lose more respect for somebody who probably ended up killing a company anyways. Hall was inducted into the Wrestling Hall of Fame twice. The WWE Wrestling Hall of Fame, which also has Vince McMahon's fucking personal limo driver in it, so take for it what you will. Once as a singles competitor, and in 2014, yeah, that's when he was inducted as himself, and the second time in 2020 as a member of the NWO. Among his many titles, Hall previously held the WWC Universal Heavyweight Championship and the USWA Unified Heavyweight Championship. He won the WWF Intercontinental Championship 4 different times, and with the NWO became a 2-time United States Heavyweight Champion, 1-time Television Champion, and 9-time, I'm not going to run it through all times, WCW World Tag Team Champion. Yes, pretty sure most of those reigns, if not all of them, were towards the end of the run, and WCW shit was getting a little bit fucking weird, so couldn't have all been with Kevin Nash. It was probably most of them were probably with Kevin Nash, let's be fair. But this is where all the information, and I think this is Kevin Nash's Instagram post. It's so fucking sad. But this is where the information that he's going to be taken off life support when his family shows up is where this came out. Scott's on life support. Once his family is in place, they will discontinue life support. I'm going to lose the one person on this planet I've spent more of my life with than anyone else. My heart is broken and I'm very fucking sad. I love Scott with all my heart, and now I have to prepare my life without him in the present. I've been blessed to have a friend that took me at face value, and I him. When we jumped to WCW, we didn't care who liked or hated us. We had each other, and with the smooth Barry Bloom, we changed the wrestling both in content and pay for those a lot that disliked us. Again, a lot is 2 words, but he's in the process of grieving. I'll let it slide. We were the outsiders, but we had each other. Scott always felt he wasn't worthy of the afterlife. Well, God, please have some gold-plated toothpicks for my brother. My life was enriched with his take on life. He wasn't perfect, but he always said the last perfect person to walk on this planet they nailed to a cross. As we prepare for life without him, just remember, there goes a great guy. You ain't gonna see another one like him again. See you down the road, Scott. I couldn't love a human being any more than I do you. Fuck, that sucks so bad. Then you have the stupid Rock with his just fucking vague pleasantries. Paige, surprisingly, a Twitter post without her with her tits out. JBL with the lowest resolution picture he could possibly find. The greatest ever who's still alive, hopefully for a very, very, very long time, Ric Flair. Mark Marrow, Sable's ex-husband. Eric Bischoff, who probably has a lot more to say about that than just simply prayers for Scott Hall, but we'll come back to this in a moment because, like I said, he went through so much, and then for this to happen after he gets his life cleaned up, after he lived several years of sobriety and success. I don't know if they mentioned this in this article or not, but yeah, back when ESPN used to do like really decent and really good sports journalism, they were running the series. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, the ESPN 60 for 60. One of the most heartbreaking and one that sticks with me because I watched a few of them. There was the Herschel Walker one. There was a couple of other ones as well, but the one that really bore into me was the Scott Hall one, and it just ended with him being disheveled and fucked up at an indie show, just hopping into the ring, not really doing anything, just kind of stumbling about and just looking like a lost soul. And that was back in 2010-ish areas, okay, right when he was, once again, just flexing in and out of rehabs, just looking like he was on death's door, because that's when DDP picked him up right there, and it's like, he's significantly larger than he ever was, because, yeah, you guys seen the pictures that was there. He was a big dude. He was like, what, 6'6" or something, 2.5, but just absolutely cut up. But he turned it all around. Anyways, yeah, let's read a little bit of this. After roughly a dozen stints in rehab, Scott Hall is supposed to join Diamond Dallas Page on our Skype call and tell the now familiar tale of how the former WCW World Champion's yoga regimen is rescuing the battered souls of the squared circle. But when the 57-year-old Page pops up on the laptop, maniacally flailing his arms and bulging his eyes, as he sermonizes about the perils of hydrogenated oils and artificial sweeteners, Hall is nowhere to be detected. Has the wrestler once known as Razor Ramon suffered yet another relapse? Page assures me that my assumptions are false. After immersing himself in the DDP yoga, now it's DDPY, so whatever, lifestyle, Page elucidates, Hall is simply sleeping off his sobriety. He was supposed to come here and work out with me this morning, Page says, but he didn't sleep well last night, and he's not pilling up, and he's not going to sleep. Oh, he's not pilling up to go to sleep. Some nights, he don't sleep. When Hall finally calls me a day later, he elaborates on his predicament. I'm awake all the time, he maintains, without a slur I'd come to expect in his voice. I was talking about it with Lex Luger, and that's another sad story. Thankfully, he's still alive, and I think he's regained some mobility as well. Another tale for another time if you don't already know. And there may be a link to multiple concussions, and steroid use could be a factor too. The big difference is that before I couldn't sleep, I'd replay the tape about the mistakes I've made in my life, all the things I did wrong, just tormenting myself. Now, when I look out at the highway of life, I realize in the rearview mirror is pretty small. And there's a whole lot of possibility on the other side of the windshield, so I might as well give myself a break. For years, Hall has been trying to embrace his philosophy, attending 12-step programs, checking into psychiatric hospitals, and moving to new cities to avoid old influences. But it wasn't until he relocated to Smyrna, Georgia, down the road from his home DDP shares with his girlfriend, Brenda, their respective daughters, and Jake the Snake Roberts, that Hall insists that he started to believe in the self-help jargon. Hall attributes this to the fact that Page comes from the same alternative universe wrestlers he helps and comprehends their backward logic. As a result, Hall says DDP Yoga has connected with him and Roberts in a way no other program possibly could. In professional wrestling, you learn how to manipulate people, claims Roberts, who enjoyed his biggest run. Yes, okay. I was in rehab 3 times and found it pretty easy to manipulate all the counselors. But Dally is one of this. Dallas Page. He knows my shit and he calls me out. Here's some stuff you might not know unless you do your own independent research. In 1991, while Page was working as a manager in WCW, Scott Hall returned from a wrestling tour of Europe, uncertain about his next professional step. He'd wrestled in the AWA, the Florida Territory, and Puerto Rico. But his rugged good looks notwithstanding, he didn't feel he reserved the big push he deserved. My wife was pregnant and I needed a job, he recalls, so Dally gave me a new gimmick, the Diamond Stud, and made me part of a stable. I thought it was pretty sweet. Too sweet, in fact. And if it wasn't for the exposure, I don't think the World Wrestling Federation, now yes to the E, would have brought me in as Razor Ramon. For Page, Hall's quest to achieve recognition conjured up familiar feelings. And again, the first time DDP was on a WWE or WWF at the time screen was driving the pink Cadillac for Rhythm and Blues, Greg Valentine, and Honky Tonk Man at WrestleMania 6. Little tidbit of information there. Oh, there it is. WrestleMania 6 in 1990, Page, after managing stint in AWA, announcing, gig in Florida's fading wrestling territory, walked around the Sky Dome shaking hands in the press box before using his pink Cadillac, to bring out Rhythm and Blues. Hey, I just pulled that off the top of my head. I didn't know it was referenced there. But to just get back on topic, in the conversation, Hall sounds like a man who had given up on life. He's inebriated and talks about dying. Somehow, his 2 friends convinced him to come to my house in Georgia. That was X-Pac and Shawn Michaels, I guess. Oh, I'm sorry, Jake Roberts. My mistake. And I was that guy who was hungry and wanted to achieve. He agreed to do everything that Dallas told him, refraining from not only drugs and alcohol, but fried food and white flour. I don't even know what a gluten is, bro, he says, but Dally won't let me eat them. To Page, processed foods can confuse the body as much as Oxycontin and cocaine. First thing I do, he states, is to get them eating real food because I know in 2 weeks it will change the way they feel. Then they figure out what's really bothering them. It might be your shoulder, it might be your back. And when you're self-medicating with pills and vodka, you feel like shit all the time and you don't understand why. In April, Hall had a total left hip replacement and is now on an exercise program that involves walking, stretching, pull-ups, dips, and cardio. Once the pain in my hip went away, I didn't want to be numb, he says. I wanted to be aware. Yep, and this interview took place right after said hip replacement, and that's where we find ourselves today. And yeah, fucking sucks. I'm just going to play the little clip that they have here in the Breitbart article as well from his 2014 singles run induction because, well, hopefully it doesn't get, copyright claimed by the Fed. And if it does, whatever, hopefully they just keep the video up because, well, whatever. It has barely anything to do with it. But so we're going to play it out.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
Godspeed into the hereafter, Scott. Thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. Why don't you follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.